and welcome to the HFP T.Vcast.
No. Was that not an appropriate time for music?
No.
Continue.
Thank you. It's the HFP T.Vcast. What was that music? What were you trying to do?
Just doing some music, yeah.
What music was it? No.
Just some hype-up music. We need hype-up music during the
see what you've done here.
You know, we just need some hype-up music.
This will link.
Continue.
This will link to later. This is the HFP T.Vcast. This is our first podcast. Thank you.
Was that still not?
Not appropriate time. Okay. I think they're hype enough. This is a hype intro. They're hyped. This is our first podcast. We're Happy Things Productions. I'm Sam.
And I'm Tom.
And we make films and shit, and we watch a lot of shit. So we're going to do a podcast about something. And we're on a journey of conquest.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat Conquest.
Yeah, I watched it as a kid. I barely remember it. I remember it fondly. So I decided, well, I'm going to watch that again. And then it was like, well, we spend many a time interrupting editing or writing sessions to talk about TV shows. Why the fuck don't we watch it together, one episode at a time, and then podcast it?
Yeah, and talk about it, because we always get told that, like, the best part of our videos is when we're talking. We don't record any of our conversations.
No one tells us that.
Rob tells us that. He's the only person we talk to.
Right, okay.
It's like 100% of feedback.
One person. No one watches that shit. Most people tell us what they think of our videos with blind ignorance.
Yeah.
Not ignorance. Blind disinterest, I think, is the phrase I'm looking for. Yes, this, like I said, this is our first one, so obviously any feedback, advice, what we got right, what we got wrong, what we could do better is really appreciated. And so Mortal Kombat Conquest.
Yeah.
It's a TV show.
From the 90s.
It was a spin-off from the Mortal Kombat franchise. Amazing gaming franchise. Played a lot of that in my time. Killed a lot of people. And it's one of the weirdest kind of shows ever.
Yeah. It's almost like it's a fan show.
Yeah. It's like It is. It's like fan fiction, and it's done in the 90s, and it tries to have an original storyline that fits, but doesn't.
No.
It was a really high budget for the time. Fact that you might not know about it: it was broadcast after WCW Monday Night Nitro, which was a big wrestling show that had like 4-point-something million viewers per week. So it had a really, really high viewership. And some WCW wrestlers are going to turn up.
Nice.
Yeah. So we watched the first one, which is actually the first 2 episodes, Warrior Eternal, because it's part 1 and part 2. Took fucking ages to find, but we did it.
Yeah.
So the format, we're going to talk about that episode. We're going to try and recap it together. I'm sure along the way we'll talk about what we thought and shit. And then at the end, if there's anything we've missed or need to sum up or information, we'll add that. And then if that format you think it should change, dear listener, do let us know. Right, Warrior Eternal.
Yeah, so it starts with the music, classic music.
The reason Tom did music early is throughout this show, or at least throughout these 2 episodes, there is basically 90s techno music.
Yeah.
The entire time.
And most of it doesn't match the scene. It's not, it really shouldn't be there.
There are people, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but there are people just talking about bullshit with hype music in the background as if what they're saying has any relevance. It's fucking brilliant. This show is 90s, and in many ways it's the epitomes of what the 90s
It's
is.
almost like a spoof of what 90s TV was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, but it was serious.
Yeah. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah. We'll recap the episode and we'll come back to this point. So the episode. We begin in a fight. It's
well, first you have the great intro from Raiden.
I'm sorry, you had Raiden.
You have Raiden's intro, talking about the history.
Raiden, if you've not watched Mortal Kombat, we will say a few things, but I guess, like, there'll be a lot of phrases here, like Raiden's the Thunder God. Just go with it. Just don't. I'm not going to go into all the details and everything because it's too fanboyish. But so it starts with a character called Raiden, who's a Thunder God, protector of Earth, during a, would you say very generic monologue or?
Very generic. In the past, these guys have fought in different realms, and there has been a battle called Mortal Kombat. Yeah. There is now a guy called Liu Kang, and he's going to fight.
No, Liu Kang's not in it. It was Kung Lao.
Oh, Kung Lao rather, yeah.
Liu Kang is like the main guy, but the creators always hated him, so they in the games they turned him to a zombie and shit. There's no Liu Kang. There's no it's really weird. Yeah, it's Kung Lao, and there's a weird idea that like if you lose 10 tournaments in a row, then your realm belongs to this emperor, which is you just kind of you got 10 chances. Why not just one?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be 10? What weird number. But anyway, yeah. So it starts with this like montagey voiceover thing, and then we go straight into the battle.
Yeah, straight into a fight.
And we meet my favourite character in the entire episode, Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung.
He's evil and looks like he's having fun, but he permanently looks bored.
Yeah.
Like, but in that kind of I'm too cool for this kind of bored. You know, like that kid in school who like would sit on their own smoking, and you'd be like, they're probably a loser because they're not joining in with anyone, but they also look really fucking cool.
It's almost like he's a good actor. And he was casting this thinking, I love Mortal Kombat. And then he went in, and then they gave him the script, and he's like, what? Just do it like we, do it like we tell you.
That I see links to. I've written down a few quotes and things that I thought. This links to my first favourite quote. The Emperor is a big fuck-off dude with a skull mask and stuff.
Yeah.
Interestingly played by the same actor who played Raiden.
Yeah.
They played the same guy. And
that's because, and I don't know if that's directly related to it or not.
Yeah.
One of the games, they decided that they were brothers.
I
because
think
they wanted a twist.
Yeah, I think they did that.
It's deception or something.
Yeah, let's not talk about like anything post Mortal Kombat trilogy is rough.
Yeah.
Until like 9 and 10, or X if you want to call it what it's calling itself. But yeah, so the Emperor is like sat in his throne, and Shang Tsung's saying like everyone will be mine, and the Emperor's like and he's like I mean ours, and then the Emperor like they're obviously trying to go for its tension between the bad guys, but the only way they could think to do it was everyone talks really blatantly, and the Emperor says, your ambition serves you well, Shang Tsung, but know this, failure is unacceptable. It's like, whoa, what a fucking straight away we're into this straight away.
Yeah. And then does he say, they fight. That's after the fight. That's quote.
Shang Tsung fights someone random in a red balaclava and just kills the dude almost instantly with like a green soul.
Yeah, takes his soul.
Yeah, again, Shang Tsung is like a sorcerer guy in the games, and his whole idea is that he takes people's souls, and that led to my favourite thing in Mortal Kombat 2, where you would randomly be button mashing and you change into a different character because he could change into them all. It was a bizarre moment. But yeah, so then he fights Kung Lao. Oh no, Kung Lao's talking to Raiden, and Raiden's like trying to motivate him, and he just sort of says like, you can do it, believe in yourself.
Yeah, Raiden's like, your body, you're not limited by your body, you are limited by doubt.
Yeah.
And like, that's Raiden's thing throughout, is just, if you believe in yourself, you can do it.
You can achieve anything. Yeah. So then Kung Lao's like all a bit unsure, and then the fight starts, and Kung Lao just turns into the world's biggest jobber. He just gets battered by Shang Tsung. Like, this is like, it's not slowed down, but they'd obviously put like dust on their feet to make it look like impacts meant something, and they are like, Shang Tsung is like flip kicking and punching around. I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure they use stunt doubles that look nothing like the actors for the big flippy moves, because Shang Tsung like changed body size really significantly throughout, and
and they do low angle flips. Like every time they do a flip, they'll do it from a low angle,
so you can't
and
see
it's clearly not in the same place.
Yeah,
and then they'll land with a kick, and it'll be like they were 20 feet away. They did on the spot like flip, and somehow they're 20 feet closer and kicking.
And Kung Lao, who. The game's confusing because there's an old Kung Lao in like the mystery, and then there's like the new Kung Lao in Mortal Kombat 2. I don't know which Kung Lao they were going for, but he wears the Kung Lao hat, infamous for this hat, which is basically like a saw blade that chops people in half and stuff. Just throws his hat away, and then gets battered. And then Shang Tsung starts absorbing his soul, but it must be a really strong soul, because whereas before like we saw him do it in like a second to a different guy. The fight is like in a really tiny circle. Yeah. With a crowd of very random people, from humans to red balaclava dudes to weird alien dudes. It's a bit like if a fight broke out in the bar, in the cantina on Mos Eisley, but everyone just sort of stood around and like they're all just putting their arm in the air, like in a fist motion. It's fucking weird. And then he starts absorbing Kung Lao, and then Kung Lao sort of dies but doesn't.
Well, Kung Lao is there being absorbed, and then he has this vision.
Yeah.
And it's another character that's purely from the series, as far as I'm aware, called Jen.
Yes.
Who is Kung Lao's girlfriend.
Well, we'll come to her. But
Yeah.
he sees a woman called Jen who is wearing an incredibly revealing, like, it's a dress.
It's like the lowest cut top you can have.
Yeah. And it's like 2 strips with loads of like skin either side, so it doesn't even cover the full boob. Like it's like side boob on both sides of the boob, barely covering a nipple. It's a very provocative Mortal Kombat style dress.
Yeah. And she's all like, oh, I'm with you. We're together and shit. And then that's enough.
Yeah.
And then he gets up and kicks some ass.
And he wins.
Yeah.
And Shang Tsung just sort of like, he batters Shang Tsung really quickly.
Yeah.
Like 2 moves, Shang Tsung's down. That's it. And then the Emperor's like, oh, I'm angry, bro.
Yeah.
But
and then, classic Mortal Kombat. Finish him!
yes.
Yeah.
And then Kung Lao says, I've written this quote down. He says, the people of Earth are not murderers.
Yeah.
Which the rest of the episode will demonstrate is untrue. But also, is like the opposite of what Mortal Kombat's whole gimmick, right, is that it's this violent fucking game where people kill each other.
Yeah.
And it's bloody and gory. That's its whole premise. And not doing that is really, really weird to me. And the fact he spares him, and then Shang Tsung will go on to do all this crazy, I'm sure, is just dumb. Dumb good guy. Stupid face.
Yeah.
Face isn't good guy, because in wrestling terms, face is a good guy, apparently. I shouldn't use wrestling terms, apparently, but there you go. So Kung Lao wins.
Yeah.
And then it got a bit confusing for me.
Right.
There's a guy called Zero.
Zero.
Is it Zero?
He's going to be Sub-Zero, I'm pretty sure. That's the point. So he's just called Zero.
Okay. I think, we'll see, won't we, on that. But Zero, I'm going to call him, 00, is a knight with a sword who's walking with Jen, the woman from Kung Lao's dreams. Because we've just skipped on at this point. Like, the Emperor nothing really happens. He just doesn't kill something. And they're walking, and they do nothing important, and then they get attacked.
Yeah.
By 4 masked monks and a woman.
I mean, it's only 3, but
3 masked monks.
So 3 ninjas and a woman.
But the 3 ninjas are all in like matching hidden face garb, and then this woman just wears a fighter's uniform.
Yeah, because obviously, she's important.
Yeah. Her name is Taja. Or Taja? I'm going to call her Taja. Taja sounds a bit weird. Do you know who she's played by?
No.
Kristana Loken. Do you know who Kristana Loken is?
No.
She's the TX. Terminator 3, one of the worst films ever made. That's the Terminator. So I'm hoping she dies.
Yeah.
Like, frankly, any punishment or hit she gets, I'm up for. I hope she, her getting wrecked is going to be a highlight of every episode for me from now on. Terminator 3 is the worst one for me. But anyway, so Zero's walking. This guy Zero, how would you describe him?
Blonde hair, blue eye,
tall,
big guy,
ponytail. Yeah. He's got a big, weird looking sword.
It's almost a scimitar, but not really.
Yeah.
It's like a scimitar machete thing.
Yeah. And it's so over the top shiny, it almost looks like it's foil wrapped around a sword. Like, it's weird. And his accent. Can we talk about his accent?
I can't work out what it is.
Right. At first, I wasn't sure if it's an American trying to go for like a sort of South American Latino kind of tweak, or whether it's a foreign actor who can't quite drop his accent. Yeah. It turns out he's Swiss, and it is a Swiss guy. It's a Swiss martial artist. He's a genuine martial artist. I've actually written down his name. It is Daniel Bernhardt, who plays Zero, and he's just like, he can't quite drop the accent, so he keeps saying these odd things that just don't quite do the emotion. But he's this cheery dude, and he gets attacked by ninjas, doesn't really care, captures one of them, but then Kung Lao saves.
He's about to kill the girl, I think.
Yeah, he's about to kill.
I want to say it's the Taja.
Taja.
And then Kung Lao stops him.
Yeah.
From nowhere. Yeah. It's completely out of nowhere.
With a dagger.
Yeah.
No killing. And then
you can show how to kill on Secret Land.
Yeah. Shall we continue with this storyline and then go into the villain storyline?
Yeah, why not?
We'll continue the storyline for a bit, right? So it then becomes apparent that this Jen woman in the revealing dress is Kung Lao's love interest, but she's also the daughter of the Baron.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like Kung Lao because saving the world doesn't make money. I think he literally says...
Because Kung Lao is religious and saving the world. And he doesn't believe in all that shit because it doesn't make money.
Yeah. Which you'd think, like, the guy who saves the world would have an easy time. Like, if there's a guy fighting Earthrealm and he came to me and said, can I borrow a $5? I'm trying to save the world. I'd fucking give him a $5. He's saving the world. Like, it's just... It doesn't quite make sense how disgusted this Baron guy, who is the most glorious, over-the-top actor. He reminded me...
He thinks he's on stage. He very much thinks he's on stage.
Yeah. It was a bit like William Shatner at his worst. Like, that kind of, you, Kung Lao, are not worthy of my time. Just really over the fucking top. I loved it. He hates Kung Lao. Zero is like something to do with his guard, but then there's another dude who is old friends with Kung Lao, who is his guard.
Yeah.
Right. And this led to my favourite moment, or one of my highlight moments. Taja, I'm gonna fuck this name. Taja, she gets captured, and then Kung Lao's like asking what they're doing with the thief, and Zero's like, she's getting a thief's justice. I assume this meant like maybe it's medieval times, they're gonna chop a hand off, maybe she's locked in a dungeon. No, she's serving them food and drink.
Yeah.
Unchained, unsupervised, literally carrying around a tray in one hand, handing them drinks and walking away. Like, I don't know how you would treat a thief. I've not really had to deal with that much. But surely...
Give him a job.
Yeah, you wouldn't give them an unsupervised job around your riches if you knew they were a thief.
Yeah.
That just seems really, really weird to me. But the Baron is more interested in money, so maybe he likes thieves more than people who say the word. I don't know. There is then a bit of an incestuous bit where he sort of grabs Taja.
Yeah, he does, like... It's meant to be like he's trying to rape her, I'm pretty sure. But basically, it's just a really, really awkward kiss thing.
Yeah. It's one of these classic American shows where they're afraid of the sex stuff, but not the violent stuff.
Yeah.
So the violent stuff's really over the top. The sex stuff is like, his hands are on her shoulders, almost like a massage, and he just pulls himself in and he's just whispering in her ear, like, and then he gets interrupted. And that's the rape storyline done and gone. He doesn't try it, they don't actually go that route. And now I think we have to go to the villains, because what happens next with the good guys is because of what happens with the villains.
Yeah, although before that you also have Kung Lao asking the Baron as part if he can marry his daughter, which is where you find out that he just hates the guy. Yeah, absolutely fucking hates him.
Despises him.
Tries to have him killed immediately. Yeah. It's like, oh, you want to marry my daughter? No, death. Death. You're gonna die. So then Zero and Jen come in and be like, he saved us. And he's like, all right, fine, go. Don't ever fucking come back.
Yeah, if I ever see your face again, I'm killing you. Yeah. You're now exiled because you, the hero of the realm, showed an interest in my daughter and came to me and asked me.
Yeah, you asked permission. You were a very nice gentleman, so I'm going to chop your fucking head off.
Yeah. Which is to mention, the whole way through, like we mentioned, Zero was travelling with Jen, that's his introduction. He's sort of saying things to Jen like, I fear it will be a battle of wills between you and your father. And Jen's like, he won't have a problem, it's my life, da-da-da. He has a big fucking problem. She misread that guy. The Baron is not a good guy. Right, villains. So Shang Tsung lost to Kung Lao. And as the Emperor had already said, failure is not acceptable. So he sentences Shang Tsung to go work in, and I quote, the cobalt mines.
Yeah.
So Shang Tsung goes, and he sits around looking at a rock.
Yeah.
That's everything he does.
Yeah,
and
doesn't work.
No, he doesn't work. He just sits there looking at a rock.
Chills.
And then there's a girl who, I think they said the character's name is Vorpex, but she's basically Jade from Mortal Kombat 2, which is a secret character that they brought in. Or at least wears Jade's green dress attire. And a fat bloke who was a wrestler. Who, she's basically teasing him and saying like, oh, Shang Tsung's here, you might not be in charge. And the fat bloke's like, I'm in charge now, his sorcery doesn't work down here. And she's like, well, you better hope it doesn't. And he's like, I'll teach him a lesson. And he storms over to Shang Tsung. And I can't quite remember what he said. I think he said something like, I'm the greater power down here, da-da-da. And this led to another quote that I've got. Shang Tsung throws down his rock and says, you're right. Yes, you're right. There is no greater power. Pause. Than your stench.
Yeah.
Oh, sick burns. And then the fat guy's like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, da-da-da. Grab Shang Tsung, and then Shang Tsung's sorcery completely works.
Blitz right in. Instantly.
He burns
Instantly.
him. If only he'd done that to Kung Lao.
Right? When he does that,
Yeah.
did you notice, for that effect, they had the most blatant still frame ever.
They had it still, and then they did like a...
They completely froze it.
Yeah, and then they did like a yellow fire effect going up him, and then he drops down, but they kept a shadow.
Yeah.
And then had the shadow blow
But he's
away.
clearly masked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, somewhere in some editing room in the 90s, like, that was so fucking perp. You know what I mean? But yeah, it didn't look great, but Shang Tsung got another moment. And again, he had that bored, I'm too cool for this. I'm just too good for this attitude the whole time. Shang Tsung, he's my dude. Then the green dress woman comes over and is like, yeah, we did it. And Shang Tsung's like, yeah. And she goes, yeah, I'll follow you now. Oh, I've got something to show you. And what she shows him is a scorpion in a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely undoing, like, Scorpion is a character, a yellow ninja from the Mortal Kombat games, and he is famous. His backstory, I was killed, and Sub-Zero's clan was framed, and I'm an undead demon dude who's actually a skull under a mask that breathes fire and shit. That's like Mortal Kombat 101. But they didn't do that storyline at all. It's literally a scorpion.
With a troll trapped inside it.
Oh, she tells him, look closer. So Shang Tsung puts his, like... He's like, it's just a bug. It's just like, look closer. So he puts his head a bit closer, and the scorpion tries to sting him. So he grabs her by the throat, like, what are you trying to pull here? Trying to kill me? Da-da-da. And then she's like, no, it's a warrior. You can free him. So then he does.
Yeah. Have you got the quote? Have you got it written down how they freeze him?
I have not.
No. I can't remember exactly. But basically, he goes... I am freeing you. On these terms, you will go to the Earth Realm. Free! And that's his spell. That's the magic spell.
Yeah. And then this light comes down from the scorpion, and we mentioned that the Baron has Zero and another guy. The other guy. Now, we'll go back to the heroes.
Yeah.
This scorpion soul is travelling to Earth, and I'm going to love... watch doing this podcast because I get to say sentences like this scorpion soul is travelling to Earth.
Yeah.
Kung Lao decides that love conquers all. He's been having like dreams of everyone dying, but he just kind of he goes to Raiden. And Raiden, we've got to say how cocky Raiden is. Raiden's just one-lining it and doing it for laughs. And he says to Raiden, like, I'm seeing everyone dying. He's like, yeah, you're seeing a potential future. Don't worry about it. Literally just like, could be the future, could not.
It's not happened yet, mate.
Yeah, it's not happened yet. Why worry? So then, Kung Lao decides to go back and save Jen, the lovely Jen. And the guard guy, who's not Zero, opens the door. Because even though it's meant to be like a whole army, there's only these two guys that are allowed to show their faces. I assume budgetary reasons. And Kung Lao one-shots him in like the stomach and knocks him out. In like, I assume it's one of those monkey I put my chakra here punches. And he's like, he says something like, I'm sorry about this. Boom. Or there's one bright side to this. Punches him, and then like, at least it'll look like you tried to give a fight. Yeah. Looks like. Not that you did give a fight, just looks like. So then Kung Lao goes to save Jam. Yeah. And at this point, Scorpion Soul goes into the knocked out guy and raises him up. And he's now Scorpion. But he doesn't look like Scorpion yet. No. He just has slightly different eyes. Right, I'm a little lost in events at this point. Okay. Kung Lao goes. He finds Jen. Yeah. But then the Baron interrupts. Yeah. And the Baron's like, right, I said I'd kill you.
Well, right, he finds Jen.
Yes.
And then I want to say Scorpion. He has a mini fight with Scorpion, but he still thinks it's just his mate at that point.
Yeah.
And then
Scorpion kicks his ass.
Yeah. Then the Baron interrupts.
Yeah.
Jails him.
Yeah. Kung Lao gets put in jail. Tarja gets put in jail.
Yeah.
Zero.
Because she refuses to have sex with the Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, again, like, he went from forcing himself on her to jailing. He's a very inconsistent kind of power level, hamming it up the whole time as he's doing that as well. I got a quote. I think it's him. He says it to Tarja, I think. The Baron says this, and I'm pretty sure it's like, she asks him about food, and he says, I'm hungry for something else.
Yeah.
Something you. That's his chat line.
Yeah.
It's almost like he almost does the double eyebrow raise at that point. Like, wink, wink, yeah. So they're in jail, and then Raiden appears in the jail next to Tarja. Kung Lao's somewhere else they're going to go execute Kung Lao. And he's like, I'm a beggar. You should save Kung Lao. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm just a beggar. But
he's a thief.
I'm a thief,
yeah.
but you should save Kung Lao.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I'm not that. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, no, you're not. Trust me, as a thief to another, you really should save Kung Lao.
Basically. I think he starts off and he's just like, oh, I'm a thief. And then she's like asking how he got out because it's like he's not actually in his thing, he's just outside hers.
Outside his cell.
Yeah, and he's like, I snuck out, from when they put the other guy in.
Can I just point out this point? The cell, they did the classic film thing in the cell, where they do it a lot, where the cell bars are bigger than the character's head.
Yeah.
Because if they did real bars, it would just obscure them too much. So it's like really, it looks like literally their body's like halfway through it. Yeah. Anyway, kind of. Yeah, but carry on.
And then he's all, she's like, oh, how'd you get out? It's like, oh, well, you could, lift it off the hinges or some shit like that. It's like, and she's like, oh, help me do it. And he's like, I'm too old for that. Yeah. Maybe too strong, guys. Go save Kung Lao. Type of thing. Yeah.
It's constantly saying it. Just constantly dropping hints. You should really save Kung Lao.
Yeah.
To the point where she's almost like, fine, I'll save Kung Lao. She gets out, and then Kung Lao is like, he's going to be beheaded in the most... Right. So it's like a chamber with candles in, and there is a crowd.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing masks or headdresses, and they're all chanting and cheering. And Kung Lao stood in front of them with the tiniest wooden block that's like it's almost like
the stocks.
Stocks, And he stood above it, and the Baron says, "You're a religious man, so I'll give you 5 minutes to pray." And Kung Lao's like, "Thank you, stupid Baron." And then he starts to pray, and at that point, Tarja comes in. Is that when Tarja jumps in?
First, you have the raising of the axe. He's raised that raising of the axe, which is raised before the swing.
Yeah.
For a good 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
Like that guy is strong holding that fucking axe.
We're talking Luke Skywalker and his daughter holding the lightsaber like it goes on far too fucking long. Yeah.
And then. He's smiling and shit. He's like, I get to kill someone. Yeah, I get to chop his head off.
This is my moment.
And then Taj runs out of the thing and kicks him in the back.
Yeah. I think it's like...
No, she comes out and she kicks him in the back of the knee with like the girliest, like least martial artist style kick you could possibly imagine.
But he goes fucking flying.
Yeah.
There's a scene missing that I assumed happened, which is like the executioner's like, yeah, they're gonna kill Kung Lao. She goes, wow, like you're killing the Earth champion. Yeah, because we should enjoy that. He goes, yeah, I finally graduated to being a proper executioner. It's like, just make sure you savor every moment. And so when the axe was raised, he was so busy savoring every moment he just didn't fucking go. Yeah, so he goes flying, and then it looks like, oh, we're gonna manage to escape. But then Scorpion comes.
Yeah.
And now he's in Scorpion. He's not in the yellow ninja suit.
No.
But his head's a bit more, like, over his mouth. I look a bit more Scorpion-y.
Yeah.
And...
he's in like a... like, you think he's got a hood at this point as well.
Yeah. And the fight is awful.
Yeah.
This is the worst fight. Again, we've mentioned before, there is hype music going on that doesn't fit.
Constantly.
Yeah, does not fit.
Yeah.
And Scorpion, the fight with Kung Lao is basically just Scorpion hits him a few times. Kung Lao tries to hit him back. Jen's in the room at this point as well. Don't know what she just came to watch his execution, but she didn't actually. I didn't know she was in the room when he was being executed.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see her. I don't know if I just missed a shot of her, but she didn't like scream or cry or beg or anything.
Well, I think she does like one thing, and then like the Baron says to get rid of her. And they try to get rid of her.
Right, that's why I missed So, they have this fight, and the Baron tells Scorpion not to kill Kung Lao because he wants him executed, basically.
Yeah.
And Scorpion doesn't stop trying to kill Kung Lao. So the Baron tries to pull Scorpion off. Now, the Baron has a few knights with him, and they have shields. And these shields are designed with a spike pointing outwards. So when you're holding the shield, it's like a spike.
Yeah.
Which to me seems dumb design. And Scorpion hits the Baron, and he goes into his soldier's shield, spike through the back. He's dying. He's not dead, even though they say he's dead. Yeah. He's just dying. And then Scorpion and Kung Lao continue their bullshit fight. I can't remember. Kung Lao doesn't win. I think Zero turns up. And
Zero joins in the fight, and the other guards are in the fight. And then there's a bit, the Baron's still there.
Yeah.
And I think the Baron grabs Kung Lao.
Right.
And then Jen gets in between them with the stick.
Right.
And tells them to leave. And,
I missed a lot here. Yeah.
So Jen gets in between them and come with us. And she's like, no. Yeah. Go. And they fucking run off. Taja and Kung Lao run off. I think Zero's still fighting someone at this point somewhere. And the Baron, they bugger off, and Baron takes them in and shit. And then even though they ran off, Taja and Kung Lao then go back into the prison cell.
Yeah.
Because there's a trapdoor above the prison cell to the place where everyone sleeps.
Yeah.
Because that's a fucking smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And then they do this whole conversation and shit with a box. And they move a box, but how they do the shot, the box is clearly already under it. So they move the box half a foot, but the box is 3 foot long and the back end's already underneath the hole. So it's you didn't need to move the box. There was no point in doing that. All it did was move it out of the way so she could stand in a certain position.
Yeah,
that's all it did.
It was so you could hit the back. But yeah, so we've had the Baron's dying thing. Have we had that bit yet? Someone calls him and says the Baron's dead, and then he runs and the Baron's not dead. He's just dying.
Might have been. I think that might be that same section.
I think that's the end of that section, isn't it? I think it's Jen calls him. It's the Baron's dead.
Yeah.
And then he goes, but he's not dead. He's dying, and he's like, Kung Lao, I was wrong. And he does a proper this is my last moment. I'm going out on a blitz. Goodbye. I can't remember the actor's name, but goodbye, motherfuckers. This is the hammiest of deaths. Yeah. This is glorious. Over the top. So then, does Jen get kidnapped? I can't remember.
Jen's still in the place.
Yeah.
With the Baron's guard, but not necessarily the Baron, I think, at this point. And Taja tells Liu Kang not to go up. Not Liu Kang. Kung Lao. Not to go up until night. So we skipped that.
Yeah.
And then I think we go back at some point to Shao Tsung doing something.
All Shang Tsung and Vorpix's lady have been doing is just talking about how evil they're going to be.
Yeah.
Literally nothing interesting, but it's all great because it's literally two people rubbing their hands going, yeah, I'm so evil. Yeah, I'm more evil than you. Yeah. And that's it. That's all they do. And Vorpix keeps going that Kung Lao beat you, and he's like, I will get revenge on Kung Lao, I swear. And she's like, yeah, but he did beat you. I know he beat me, and I'll kill him for it. That's it. That's their entire story arc for this one.
And then so eventually Kung Lao goes up to get her, has yet another fight with Scorpion. Eventually gets her and leaves. Goes back to the temple.
Yeah, I should say by this point, in that fight, Scorpion actually does the get over here, but doesn't do it with the snake hand. He just grabs him and says, get over here, which is, famous.
In fact, that fight, I think Kung Lao loses again, but gets away, and then Scorpion kidnaps Jen.
Yeah.
And takes Jen to the temple.
Yeah.
Because
yes,
why wouldn't you take her to the temple?
And now we're back. Right, I've forgotten all that bullshit. They're just... we only watched this once each. That was so we could see how well we can recall it or not. Right. So they're at the temple, and they do a twist, which is the weirdest twist. I don't know why it's here, but Scorpion turns up. He's now in full Scorpion get-out, but he's wearing a robe over him. He's wearing like a black robe, so you don't know it's him.
Yeah.
And he walks up to two monks who have their backs to the camera, are in red robes, like very traditional monk robes, and he says, "I need your help getting Kung Lao."
Yeah.
And they both turn around, and he turns around, and he unveils his thing, and it's Scorpion all along. And then the two monks both grab swords, so they're bad guys, and then he just goes, "To kill him."
Yeah.
And they just walk off.
Yeah.
Right? And then the good guys, right. So Raiden gets them all together.
Yeah.
And they're all like, "Hey, you're a thief, you're a beggar, you're this." And he goes, "No, I'm Raiden.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I lied to you all, but you're all together now. You should probably go save her. She's out here."
They have like a bit, like he pretends to be a beggar to get Zero to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And turn Zero all this fucking stuff, and then like Zero tries to attack him, and he just fucking jumps over him.
Yeah.
And he's like, and then like even with that, Zero comes back. And he's just like, "Oh, why are you here?" It's like, "Oh, I met some beggar. Pretty sprightly for an old guy." And then like Kung Lao does a bit like, he's like, "Long grey hair, with robes, white robes, yeah, that's Raiden." It's like, "What? No, he's not a beggar. He's Thunder God." What?
Yeah.
No, don't matter. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Then Raiden turns up and is like smiley about it all, and they're all like, and he's like, "Yeah, Jen's here. You should go save her." So they go off to save her. The two monks without Scorpion block the way.
Yeah.
So it's 3-on-2. But Kung Lao says, "You two help me out. Hold them off.
Yeah.
I'll get the gal." Kung Lao goes to walk. He doesn't run. He walks past the two monks.
Straight through the middle of it.
One of them punches it at him, and Kung Lao just deflects the shot and walks away.
Yeah.
And they leave, even though their specific job is to help kill Kung Lao.
Yeah. Well, let him go through. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And then the other two, like, Cyril says, 2-on-2, fair fight. And Taj just says, "I don't like fair fights."
Yeah.
I'm with her on that. Fucking right. And then they do, we'll talk about their fight first, because it's the 9-point one. So they're fighting these two, and they stand back to back, Tarja and Cyril. And they start going, "Your turn," and then one of them ducks and the other one flips around. And then she goes, "Now it's your turn." And the other one ducks down, the other one flips around and kicks the other guy. And it's like, these two monks are attacking them one at a time, facing onto one of them. Not from the side or anything. Like, they're just the most... I think they were like, "Well, we don't know what to do with them, so we'll just have them do some kicks." And it's great. I fucking loved it. That's that.
Yeah.
And now we go to the big fight. Scorpion, who is now in full yellow Scorpion regala,
proper Scorpion.
has the mask, his skin looks slightly paler, and Jen's there, and he's fighting Kung Lao.
Yeah.
And Kung Lao approaches, and he does the proper "get over here," big snake thing comes out of his hand, which if you ever played a game, he'd like fire this.
Which is sometimes 3D and sometimes 2D.
Sometimes 2D. And it like chases Kung Lao around a bit, and the two of them like punch and kick, and Jen's like watching and freaking out. And it goes on quite a while, this fight.
Yeah.
This was even with this much depth of story and characters, and we've had like 2 people die already, it still just goes on a long time.
Yeah.
And then the end is Jen runs to try and get in the middle, to try and either push Kung Lao out the way or protect Kung Lao or help. She picks up a candle. She's going to hit Scorpion with it. And Scorpion does a move that he's not done at all up to this point and never tried against Kung Lao. He breathes a fireball into his hand and then punches with his hands, and it hits Jen.
Yeah.
And the way they did this fireball was, it's like a ball of flame on screen that disappears as soon as it hits the person, and then the Jen actor did basically a pratfall down onto the floor, but she's dead.
Yeah.
But not dead. She's just hit by a fireball, which didn't even set her on fire or anything.
No.
And then that like rages Kung Lao to the point where he goes on and he just beats the crap out of Scorpion.
Yeah.
I think Cyril and Tarja turn up at this point, but they don't.
They just help. Jen.
Yeah, they just run to Jen. They don't get in the middle of the fight.
Who at this point, I'm pretty sure, has moved position where she's laid down.
Yeah. Well, I said it was a big pratfall, so there are lots of places she could have gone. But yeah. So then Kung Lao wins. He doesn't win with any superior move or anything. He literally just kicks and punches his way.
Eventually, right, you sort of have it, and it's sort of an even battle. Like, you're still having an even battle.
Yeah.
And then he kicks Scorpion to the floor, and apparently that means that Scorpion's not good enough anymore, so the fucking ground starts opening up.
Yeah, and drags him down to hell.
Yeah, Scorpion falls through into hell or whatever.
Yeah.
But like Scorpion, like, he wasn't defeated. Like, he could clearly still get back up. He just can't later.
He hadn't even tried a fireball again. But he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the end of villains for this storyline.
Scorpion.
It's the end of Scorpion. Then the heroes, they run to Jen. She's dying, but she's not dead.
Yeah.
She has a lovely goodbye with Kung Lao where she basically says nothing.
Yeah. What she says, what she actually says, it's not what Kung Lao later says that she said.
Yeah.
What she actually says is, my home is now your heart.
Yeah.
And gives him a key.
Yes. Yeah. And then he, like, they have their goodbye.
Yeah.
And then the Kung Lao very quickly gets over this death.
Yeah.
And Zero and Taja don't even seem to care. And Taja decides to go with Kung Lao. And Raiden joins the three of them, so it's the four of them talking. And Zero's like, whoa, I've got to leave. And they're like, where are you going to go? And he's like, well, no one's going to want to...
Oh, that's afterwards.
Oh, is this after the key reveal?
Well, first, you have that key bit. You have that key bit.
Yeah.
And then you go to Shao Tsung.
Right, I was going to bring them in at the end. I was going to finish on the Shang Tsung villain note, but we can do that now if you want.
It goes back to Shang Tsung, and he's like, oh, no, because his warrior didn't fucking think.
Yeah.
And then she shows him what she says is loads of warriors that are down in this place. But it's just loads of weird walls.
It's a wall with bits showing out.
Like, there's no people down there.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, it's loads of warriors. And Shang Tsung looks really fucking happy. And
yeah.
Like, 100,000 undead warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm worried that he's going to one at a time it. You know? Like, why not just get them all out now? March on the place, you know? But anyway. So the villain ending point is the Emperor's somewhere and Shang Tsung and Vorpix are in the cobalt mines. Shang Tsung's more powerful than the Emperor meant him to be, and he's got an army in a wall.
Yeah. Boom.
Heroes.
Yeah. So then you come back and Raiden and
Raiden, Zero, Taja,
it's just Raiden and Kung Lao in the temple. They're like chatting, blah blah. He says what he says, and he's like, "Oh, it's this duck thing," and
the key will go here.
Yeah, because he says that she claimed that the key is in his heart or something, as opposed to is your heart. Yeah, which she actually said. So yeah, they do this weird chat, and then Kung Lao buggers off. To go to the place
where the key will open a door to some keep. Which you could have given him at any time.
And he catches up with Taja. And Taja's all like, yeah, I'll come with you. Yeah, why not? I've got better to do.
And then they see Zero moping.
Yeah, and then Zero comes to mopes. And then, like...
Zero comes to mopes. Can I just say it, right? Taja and Kung Lao are talking. And you get, like, it's the classic conversation, like, the wide shot and then the close-up of each one. And then Kung Lao just says, hey, Zero. And Zero just walks on screen. Like, there isn't any shot of him anywhere where it's
there's no establishing shot of this area at all.
He just mopes
you have no idea where this is. It's just some woods.
Yeah.
And then he turns up. And it's like, oh, Zero, what are you going to do? And it's like the most mopey, like blatant, give me a fucking offer type thing. Yeah. It's like, no one's going to want to hire me, so maybe I'll just go work in a shop. It'll be right. It'll be suck. Why don't you come with us? Oh, I'd love to come with you guys.
Do you? Well, I suppose maybe I could. And so then he decides to join them, and the three of them start to walk.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode. I think. I'm pretty sure that was the end.
Yeah.
It felt like the end. I'm leaving it. That's it. That's the end.
There's probably some more music or some shit.
Oh, I'm sure there was music in the highlight. The end credits actually are like random fights.
Yeah.
Like random kicks and punches from fights. They create a completely wrong impression of the show. So, that's the recap. I hope that made sense. Probably didn't. We're all over the place. What did you think?
Right.
First, right. We'll do it this way. What do you think of the episode? And then we'll do, what do you think this podcast is going to be like? What do you think of the episode?
Well, right. So the episode, aside from how ridiculous it is, the camera work is all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
every single line Jen says, I'm convinced is ADR'd. Every single line she said. Like, even when it's a close-up on her.
Badly ADR'd.
It's badly ADR'd. And, like...
ADR'd, we should, in case you're not a film, ADR stands for...
It's automatic dialogue replacement, which people get annoyed at because it's not automatic at all. It's really fucking hard and annoying to do. And basically, all it is you have the video and you have an actor come in and redo the lines over the top of it and dub themselves.
You film a scene. We've done a few shots like it, and it's something we do. Certain films we've got coming up, we're going to be doing significantly amounts of, and it's you have an actor. You film a scene, and then you bring the actors back in once you've got your cut together, and you have them re-deliver their lines into a microphone, and then you, with probably some tweaks to the voice, because a studio voice will sound different to how a voice will sound, say it's out in the field. You merge the two together, and then your dialogue is a separate recording, but it fits and seems like it's one scene. It's very. If you ever see a scene where there's a helicopter and people are talking under the helicopter, that's how they did that. No, not once in the history of man has anyone ever been able to film a scene with people talking under a helicopter.
If you can see them at the same time,
yes,
that's done. Almost every character I felt like they were ADR'd, except for Kung Lao,
right?
Which made it even more jarring. Because when everyone else looks badly dubbed, and then one guy talks normally, it's very fucking... Especially with like the jarring cuts they have in there. Then you have the music, which I'm convinced, right? When I'm editing, when I put music in things, and you do this as well, like, because this is how it works for us. If we have multiple tracks for a scene and we're sort of seeing which one's best, we put them all on, and then we just move them about, and then we delete the ones that are cleared up after.
In our editing timeline. Sorry, it's getting a bit technical.
I'm convinced that they did that for all the fight scenes. So, like, right, this fight scene, we just took all the tracks that they have for the entire season, just whacked them all on timeline. It's like, this one, that'll fit for that fight. This one fit for that fight. Okay, that'll fit for that. And then they just forgot to delete the others, and they just left on the timeline. They just completely forgot about them, and then they exported it. It's like, it's fine. And it came out, it's like, you're halfway through a thing. What?
They didn't ever do the Mortal Kombat one, did they? They didn't ever...
The only time I think that's in the first fight.
Is it?
I think, like, it starts as that, and I think it moves into it. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But
So technically all over the place.
Yeah.
Sounds weird.
Yeah.
Cool.
Story is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
The fights are great but awful at the same time. Like, if they were all half the length of what they actually are, they'd be fine. They'd just be classic, martial arts style fights. But they just go on way too long. And I'm pretty sure, like when they were doing the scripts, like, you had some guy going, every 3 pages we need a fight, mate. Every 3 pages there should be a fight. Like, that's the rule.
There is a fight. It is like, let's say, every 5 minutes there is a fight. Fair play.
Yeah.
So, the episode for me, what I loved about it, right, is like Mortal Kombat the game. It was a beat 'em up, so they just trashed the fucking story together, and you've got a Shaolin Temple fucking guy who can turn into a dragon and shit. You've got a guy with a chainsaw hat thing in number 2. You've got an Aussie guy with a laser eye. You've got a 4-armed giant who's a prince. Like, the stories in the game is all kind of fantastic bullshit that they take far. And yet this TV series manages to go further. Yeah. It manages to bring in characters. I have no fucking idea who Ciro or Taja are. I'm hoping you get backstory to them. It manages to bring in characters like the Baron and create this world that's even more stupid and insane than the game manages to be. And I take my hat off to this episode for doing that. Ridiculous number of fights. I loved that they didn't go for any slow motion. They didn't go for like replays of anything. They just went for really...
They do have a little bit of slow motion.
Did they? I didn't pick up on it.
It's not very well done.
Okay.
It's normally flips before kicks.
Right.
They just put in slightly slow motion.
Okay.
So that it times it for the kick.
Got you.
Because they do the stupid low angle fucking flips, so people jump 50 feet in the air.
I thought it looks like a set. It's clearly filmed in a studio, and it's great. Like there's like one area is giantly purple, one area is really shadowy, one area is all candles everywhere. I fucking loved it.
I love that they use matte paintings.
Yeah.
For some of the backgrounds, Like there's a establishing shot of the city that they used way too many times, and it's clearly a matte painting.
Yeah.
I love that they used that, but it really doesn't match to the rest of it.
Let's explain what matte painting is.
Matte painting is basically it's literally a painting that a digital artist well, nowadays digital artists do. Back in the day it'd be like an acrylic artist, and they just paint a scene
and put it in
you
the
film
background.
that, and you either superimpose it if you need a background for an extension, or you just film that as like an establishing shot.
Yeah, I believe Star Wars uses some of that.
Yeah.
The original Star Wars, not the new ones, though, CGI. But right, on to the series. So I'm gonna love this. Right, I'm basically almost 30 now, and there are new teenagers and kids who have new eras. And I grew up, I was born 87, and I grew up as a kid in the 90s. And when you're a kid, you don't pick up on what your decade does.
Yeah.
So I could look at things from the 80s and the very saturated, the over-the-top colours and contrasts, and the kind of very slow, talky, political shows with posh white British men accent stuff. And I can see those traits. And also the cops, it's always sliding over the car and car chasing that. And I didn't pick up what the 90s is. And now, you're in the 2016, I've realised, there are various things that are very fucking 90s.
Yeah.
So really over-the-top stuff, the kind of metal, techno, fusion-y stuff. Ridiculous one-liners after every punch, kicks or fight.
Stupidly fast cuts for no reason. Fast whip pants and stuff for absolutely no reason. There's one in this, they do a really fast track, and all it is to a cell door.
Yeah.
And then it goes in and she has a really slow conversation. But it doesn't match to anything. There's no reason for it.
Yeah. And the 90s is in counterculture and comics and stuff, it was different. There were more layers. But on TV, it was the last era where your villains could just be gloriously over the top assholes. We've moved on to every villain has to have some backstory and some sympathy, and we have to. Often they stop being a villain and become more a tragic character. But in this, the Emperor is just over the top evil, and that's great. Shang Tsung is just over the top evil, and that's great. And everyone's just evil or good. It's simple. And it's so over the top and so trashy, and so it's a summation. It's all those traits of the worst of 90s cliches got brought together in one fucking TV show, and it's Mortal Kombat.
As I say, it's literally a spoof of a 90s TV show without meaning to be, because it was a serious 90s TV show. It has absolutely everything. It's almost what was TV like in the 90s? Go fucking watch this shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually I don't know how good this podcast is. Again, feedback would be great. I'm really looking forward to seeing the next episode and seeing them bringing characters, because I assume it's all going to be ridiculous and trashy and over the top, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. The only the episode actually went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to,
particularly because it was a double bill.
Because of double bill as well. So that's we watched. That's an hour and a half.
Yeah,
we watched it separately, so we bring together. I took a break after what I thought would be the end, because the way they were put together, it wasn't. You didn't get the end credits in the middle. So I took a break after what I thought was the midway point, or a good midway point, and I left it for an hour and then watched the second half. But it didn't feel long.
No.
It felt.
I watched it all the way through.
I had a massive grin on my face. I thought it was absolutely brilliant.
There was bits, particularly in the early, in what would have been the first episode, where I was oh, this is really slow now, and then suddenly, because I was watching it in parts, that part would be done. It's I've only got another 3 parts. Cool.
And then there'd be a fight.
Yeah.
As soon as it started flagging, there's another fight.
There was, because we watched it online.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say where we watched it online, because they might take it down, and we've got more to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. But the one problem I had is there was one part that had an advert. And it was the worst placed advert you could absolutely imagine. It was worse placed than the actual music from the fucking TV show.
Was that the one where it was just before the end?
For me, it was halfway through one of the episodes.
Oh, okay.
It got partway through, and it was literally midway through someone's line that the advert came out, and it was the loudest fucking advert in the world, and that screwed it up a little bit for me. But other than that.
Right, okay, I figured out what we'll do at the end. So, what characters were there from the game, and how were they treated? And what do you know of those characters? So, we you've got a lot. You've got the Emperor, Shang Tsung, Raiden, Kang Lao, and Scorpion.
Yeah.
Who are all I definitely know from the game and I recognise. So, Kung Lao, fine. Kung Lao look like Kung Lao, behave like Kung Lao. Emperor, fine.
Didn't do enough to really know.
Could do with a big hammer.
Yeah.
I always like his big hammer. Shang Tsung, great. Looked exactly like Mortal Kombat 2 Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Not the old man from Mortal Kombat 1. Scorpion eventually got
other than his backstory, they've kept the costume right.
Yeah.
They have him say, "Get over here."
Yeah.
So it's fine with me.
Yeah.
Like, he has all the powers he's meant to have.
Yeah.
But yeah. Raiden.
Oh, Raiden. Be still my heart.
He's great. He's probably the best character in the whole show.
You've seen the films. Have you ever seen the films?
Not for a long
Right,
time.
maybe we'll do a film cast after the telecast. In the films, I always remember the first one. It's fucking great. It's very slow fights, but there's a moment where Raiden, someone goes, the bad guys go to kill the good guys, and Raiden just goes, points a finger up, lightning comes out the ends of his fingers, and he just goes, "I don't think so," and his eyes become played by Christopher Lambert, the Highlander, and the bad guys all run away, and then he just grins to himself. And this Raiden is that Raiden done to 11. Like, he's fucking great. He's like cheeky, he's over the top, he doesn't care, he just grins, he doesn't explain it all. He doesn't.
He's like, his position, and it is actually sort of his position on it. And you have it with Kung Lao and everything. It's like, I'm the protector of the Earth realm, but you have to do the fights. It's like, why don't you fight? It's not my job.
Yeah.
I overwatch.
I'm the Thunder God.
Yeah,
man.
I'm the Thunder God, man. I watch your review. I give you the information. You deal with it.
Do I have to do it all of you? Come on, guys. Yeah. Right. So we'll leave it there. Thank you very much if you listen to the end. Again, any feedback. This is our first ever kind of podcast.
Yeah.
So any feedback would be really well appreciated.
Hope you enjoyed our rundown and opinions of the show.
Mortal Kombat Conquest. Our journey on Conquest will continue. Yeah. Definitely. Episode 2, whenever. Comes out whenever. Well, it'll be episode 3, wouldn't it? It's technically episode 3, but it will be the second podcast episode. Yeah.
So, hope you enjoyed it.
Take care and thank you for being you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.